Hey, you guys, it's me, Mark. You guys are having another wonderful day. I just came back from being outside. Nice, and it's nice out there for a little bit. I definitely want to start off by pretty much saying that when I was going through the times, there was a time that I remember when I was back at Shepherd. I remember not being able to sit up at a full 90-degree angle. I remember that I was always in a recline. Beginning stages of the injury, it was one of those things where I just remember I wasn't gonna be able to get through this, but I knew that due times I was gonna get through it and get through it well. But a lot of times you just don't know. I remember when we were going to a baseball game. I remember it was the Atlanta Braves game because Shepherd is located in Atlanta, Georgia. So we always had like outings. We always had outings that we would go to. Things like that. It was great. It was awesome. At the same time, some things that were so long ago that you just vaguely remember them, you know. And that was definitely one of those times where I just remember we were going on a couple of field trips. We went to a couple of field trips where I was in the diner. I remember eating everything in sight. I remember when we were going to the mall, went to a couple baseball games. So I was definitely excited for those that that was coming. That's one thing that I didn't remember when I was in the hospital. But some things you just don't realize until it happens, you know. So far when you think about things that you can't control, like fainting, it only makes up 3% of all emergency room visits. You know, it increased the risk at a certain age. The risk are very high, especially when you get up there in age. When you're up there in age, the risk of fainting can be fatal or very tragic. But you don't want that. I had my fair share of faints when I was in the hospital. I remember we were going on a trip. We were going on a trip. Remember they were putting me on a bus. They were putting me on a bus, and then they strapped me in. They strapped me into my seat. And right after that, as soon as we start taking off, drive for a little bit. Next thing you know, that was the last thing that I remember. The last thing I remember was us driving for a little bit. And then, so we started driving, going on a trip. 5 minutes in, I wake up, I'm back in my room, I'm reclined all the way back in my chair, and they try to bring me back because I had blackened out. 5 minutes. Such a blur that I don't even remember where we were going. I don't even remember where we were going. But yeah. But sometimes you gotta be careful because when you overwork yourself, like I was doing, there was a bike called the RT200, and it works your arms and your legs at the same time. Both your arms and your legs at the same time. And when you're doing that type of workout, it takes a lot of your energy because you're not just doing one thing, you're doing both. You're moving your arms and your legs, moving your arms and your legs at the same time. So when you're moving your arms and your legs at the same time, it gives you quite a bit of workout. It gives you a huge workout where you don't even know how much work you're putting in. And when I'm on the pacer, I'm only breathing 18 breaths per minute. So when I was on the RT200, they even put it on like a little bit before they cranked it up a little bit. I remember taking a picture like, this is awesome. This is great. I like how this feels, Next thing you know, I'm on the side of the Met, and one of my former RTs came in, visited me. Fortunately, under the wrong circumstances, but he visited me when I was at the worst, because I had fainted again. So I never remember when I fainted. I don't even remember one minute I'm doing something, and the next minute I'm on the ground. Something that you can't take lightly, If you're not feeling well, if your head is pounding or something like that, just listen to your body. Just sit down. Sometimes when you're feeling woozy, spells can signal and things. You definitely want to watch those signs, because definitely ones that you got to look out for. It's ones that you definitely have to have a warning, and the potential warning signs are the minor, where you have dizzy spells, where you have unexpected, something going on with your heart. Definitely got to watch out for those things, But at the end of the day, doesn't matter what it is, but it just comes one of those things that you just gotta take into control. Take it for what it is, man. Sometimes powerful truth. What people gotta understand is it's a lot more risky when you have a spinal cord injury. You never know what you're gonna get as far as how much you can take. This they gotta understand is that a spinal cord is real. It's challenging, but it's not the end of your story. Not even a little bit, man. It's a moment that tests you. It's going to test your strength. It's going to test your courage. And it's going to test your purpose. But don't let it define you. Don't let a spinal cord injury define you. Because you're still the same person. Still the same person on the inside. You know? Who you are is how you rise after the fall. How you refuse to be limited by what happened. You know? And how you choose, daily to move forward with the intentions that there's hope. And you believe in yourself. Have faith. Each day brings a new opportunity, to get back to the strength that you once had. But sometimes you just gotta understand that a lot of things that you're going through, there's so many things that are out there that are not in our control. But sometimes you can see the mental strength that you have within yourself that you didn't even know you had. So in those quiet times, those quiet places that you want to sit down, meditate, things like that, you feel alone. Even when there's other people in the room, you still feel alone. But you're not lonely, even though you feel that way. Even when you feel like there's 20, 30 people in a room, you feel by yourself. You don't feel like anybody's there but yourself. That's when you have to sit down and keep on praying, because in the quiet moments when fear starts to creep in, that's the biggest thing, is when fear, creeps into your life and starts to tell you things, even give you that whisper in your ear saying that you can't do it. No, you can't. There's no way. You're not able. You can't. Can't is not even in my vocabulary. I don't take kindly to can't. All I do is I take it, I switch it back, and even though you got that whisper in your ear saying that you can't, saying that there's no way possible, I'll just whisper back. I'll whisper back and I'll say, yes, I can. Yeah, I can do it. I got this. No stopping me. No stopping what I can do. No, I can. I can, I will, and I must. Recovery is not a straight line, y'all. It's a mountain with ridges and switchbacks and things like that. There will be like steep climbs, and moments of doubt, you know, moments of doubt. But victory is there. You know, got better breath, got strong grip, and a step taken. You know, words spoken. You know, some things you just gotta understand that these are the milestones that prove you're moving in the right direction. You're not letting anything hold you back. You're not looking down, keeping your eyes forward. It's a tall mountain to climb, yo. Very tall mountain to climb. No, let me give it to y'all another way. Life is like a line. You know what I'm saying? It's like a line that you have on a piece of paper. You want that line to be as straight as possible. Bottom line is, it's not. There's gonna be times where you're gonna have squiggles, squiggly lines. There's gonna be ups and downs, backs and forths. You know, it's like a roller coaster. When you do have that straight line for a little bit, everything seems to be flowing nicely. Everything seems to be going great. And all of a sudden, back to those squiggly lines again, those ups and downs, and you feel like, you know, life throws you in a situation where you don't want to be in. But at the end of the day, that's what life does. That's what life is. Life is full of ups and downs, you know. Things that you don't have really any control over, but you can. You will. But it's one of those things, man, that it's always calm before a storm. Sometimes you gotta ride that storm out a little bit. And then as soon as that storm is over, you're back to seeing a brighter day. You know, you're back to seeing a brighter day. Better opportunity for yourself. You know, the milestones that prove you are moving, like I said, you know. Remember the power of, you know, the community that you choose. You know, you're not alone. You're not alone on this journey. No way. No how. There's other people that are exactly like me and exactly like you. You know, just taking our opportunity to build a community. Join a support group if you can. Don't let anything stop you from doing what you gotta do. You know, sometimes when you're leaning on the hands that lift you, you know, the therapists who push you kindly towards your best, you know, family and friends who remind you of your worth, you know, things like that. Let their belief become your fuel. Nothing better than that family support. You know, it's definitely not a time to, you know, step away. But it's a time to bring yourself forward. And it's a time where you guys are not drifting apart, but because of your situation, it actually helps bring you closer together. Helps bring you closer together, and now you have a bond so strong that nobody can break. There were families of mine who were going through some rough times. And all I could say was it was a blessing in disguise that what happened with me brought those families together. Now they're still going strong, you know. They still uh, keep me in their thoughts. You know, they say that when I come into their mind, they say, if Mark can do it, I can do it. And then because they realize the importance of family, that's when they come together. They become one, whether it's praying, whether it's believing, whatever it is. Nothing's gonna stop them from, having that closeness. Only takes one. And I'm definitely proud to be that one to keep a strong family together. Because I know it's tough and I know it's hard. But family is definitely important, Family and friends who remind you of your worth, They let their, beliefs and everything. It gives you the strength. It gives you motivation when you feel like there's a lot of dimness, darkness in your life. And when you face days that feel heavy, reach for the purpose. Remember that purpose. Whether it's returning to a passion you love, helping others who walk a similar path, that's definitely one of the things that I remember the most is, helping people who were on the similar paths. That's when I was telling you guys about the 7 other patients who were qualified, who were trying to get the diaphragmatic pacer like me. They were trying to get the pacer like me, and they weren't able to get it. 7 of them were not qualified, so it's unfortunate. It's definitely something that you gotta work hard on as far as who you are. But remember that the strength is, undeniable. Your strength, your mental strength, everything comes into the right place at the right time. You don't have to be alone. Sometimes having the passion that you love can help you get through some things, man. I tell you no lie, Or, simply choosing like kindness for yourself, and those all around you. Body may have changed, but your potential remains boundless, Adaptively, it's your superpower. It's your superpower. So when you go through those times where you just feel like things are not going the way that you feel like they're going, it's a time where you just have to sit back, think about those times, and let things flow naturally. But it's not going to take you down. It's not going to take you down because you got the strength. You got the power. You got the drive. You got the motivation. Your strength is everything. Strength isn't the most important, And, like I said, that's what gives you your superpower, But to reframe what you can do, just think about your environment, people that are around you, things like that, You gotta also think about, ways to never consider, that help you, but will help you thrive. Don't consider, settling. Don't accept it. Don't accept it. Just know that this is for a short period of time in your life. It takes a little bit longer. You feel like it's taking longer. Things like that. Don't let it get you down. Stay up. Stay up. Body may seem bleak and it might be in a still position. You never felt like this before. But set goals that are honest, concrete, and hopeful, Train with patience. That's what I'm saying. Progress may be gradual, but it is working. It is real. Trust me, I know. I was in a position where I felt so low. I felt so defeated, right? I felt defeated and I didn't feel strong. I felt weak, felt sick. Some days were better than others, but I took the good with the bad. I had some bad and some ugly, trust me. Sometimes even now you're still going through those things, Sometimes when you're not able to move and you don't feel like you're able to do what you're able to do, you feel like you want to give up. You want to end it right there. But to be honest, you can't think that way, Sometimes it even takes a little bit of laughter to stop you from crying. Don't let this be your finale. But let it overcome it. Overcome this. Because you can. You can and you will. This is not the end. This is just right now. But it's definitely not forever. So just keep that in mind, Like I said, just find some things that you enjoy. Take that, you could take that with a grain of salt, but I definitely know that no matter what you go through, I'll even tell you some things and show you some things that even I enjoy, Because I got quite a bit of things that I love, that I enjoy, that I'm able to accomplish. I have definitely been a blueprint for a lot of things going on in my life. Sometimes I don't even think about the worst, but I always try to think about the positive. Believe you me, it's hard. It's hard, especially when you're in a position you've never been before. You feel like because I'm not able to walk again or not able to move, or you feel like that's the end. Can't think that way. I know it's long, I know it's hard. Spinal cord and the brain are the longest to heal, reconnect. But there's always the little sparks. Those little sparks. The little sparks in your day, right? That'll be joyful. And you just take those little sparks, those little moments, and you just keep those in your mind and you run with those. God is not going to let you down. He's in control. He won't give you more than you can bear. Don't let this take over. Don't give up. You know, sometimes it's just one of those things that's a longer process. But I say train with patience. You know, train with patience. Progress may, be slow, but it's happening. Slow. They say slow and steady runs the race. Slow and steady wins the race. You don't gotta, as much as we want a speedy recovery, the spinal cord is a whole different thing that you gotta realize. It's tough, very tough. Myself, I know what I have gone through. I won't let this define me. I won't. I'll define myself. The courage, compassion. You are capable. You're capable, of inspiring others simply by choosing to keep going day after day. The road may be long. It's what the doctor told me. Never told me and said, he just never said that I wouldn't walk again. He just said this is a long road. A long road that you're facing. And through those long roads, you're going to have bumps, hurdles, milestones, cracks in the roads, speed bumps, everything. You're going to have obstacles in your way. It's going to throw you off course. Even though you might be off course for a little bit, don't let it completely throw you off course where you can't get back on that road. You continue driving. Continue driving to your destination. Because that's going to be the thing, That's going to be what gives you your strength. That's what's going to keep you going, Because you are capable. Like I said, you're capable of inspiring others. Simply by choosing to keep going. The light. But sometimes your spirit is longer. But even though your outer body is in a disproportionate state, your spirit isn't. The real you inside of you is what's gonna help you, bring you back. Spirit is what gives us life. Once the spirit is gone, this body's gone. That's it. Spirit is everything. You just gotta feed that spirit. Feed that spirit the word, Keep on feeding it so it could be powerful. Powerful enough to even do things you didn't even feel you were capable of doing. Next thing you know, before you know it, you're walking. You're walking and not even realizing that while you're walking. How is this possible? It's because it's all about faith. It's all about faith that's making you do this. Your spirit, feeding your spirit, everything like that, God is not a God that'll, keep you down. It won't give you more than you can bear. He knows your pain. He knows that you're suffering, and he knows that life is a battlefield and it's going to take some time. Time is the best healer. Believe you me, I know. I've gone through some things that I thought I never would go through. Time heals all wounds. Really does, you know. But keep it going. Stand tall in your worth. Pursue your dreams with, tendency and trust. And with every breath you take, you're moving towards a brighter, more powerful future. So just keep that in mind, yo. Alright. So yeah, that's it, baby. Me with that one, man. Don't let it bring you down. Don't. Remember what I said. You're moving. You're moving towards a brighter, more empowered future. Yeah. Remember that.